A flood warning has been issued for Alaska's capital, Juneau, following an outburst from a glacial lake in the area.
미국 알래스카주의 주도인 주노에 있는 빙하 호수에서 댐이 터져 물이 넘치면서 이 지역에 홍수 경보가 발령됐습니다.
Yeah, this is interesting. Obviously, unless you live in a climate like this where glaciers exist, but what's called a glacial lake outburst flood. It's an outburst of sort of high energy, low frequency flood involving the release of a large quantity of water. And what happens is that a basin will fill with rainwater and snowmelt during the spring and the summer. And then when the pressure builds so much, it actually releases it with water being sent down. And in August of this year, about nearly 300 residents were actually were damaged because of floodwaters into their neighborhoods. And it's been happening every year since 2011. And Juneau is a very small city, about 30,000 people, and it's only reachable by plane or by boat. So any skeptics about climate change who think that, because when you think climate change, you think it's something that's far in the future, years and decades, centuries ahead of us. But climate change is actually affecting us now. People are being displaced as we speak.
When people are displaced, that means they're not able to go home
Right.
because for some reason their home is either damaged or it's, in this case, flooded. It could be an earthquake, it could be a landslide, whatever it is. They cannot go home.
Right, and they need to be relocated somewhere.
Yes.
So a lot of people who live in low-lying areas are already being and feel the effects of climate change.
Yeah, low-lying areas being areas that are quite low down, and so they're prone to flooding.
Exactly.
Way more than higher areas where, you're a little bit... I guess I wouldn't say you're safe, but safer than the people in the low-lying areas. All right, what's a flood warning?
Yeah, a flood warning would just be a notice or an alert that's issued when flooding is imminent or actually happening, as it is as well. I saw a TV show just last week about, I don't know if you remember Typhoon Memi.
Yeah, I do.
That was a big catastrophe here, and it wasn't so much the winds, but more the flooding that happened after that. But, flood warnings are issued when there's a lot of rain, obviously.
warning은 경보고요. flood는 홍수니까 홍수 경보, flood warning. 자, 그다음에 한 단어인데요. An outburst.
Yeah, an outburst is just generally speaking, just this sort of surge of activity or growth, like an eruption, but it can also mean a violent expression of feeling. So an outburst of anger when something explodes, right?
Exactly. So it's out and burst, but it's one word, outburst, 폭발하는 겁니다. 뭔가 쏟아져 나오는 거예요. outburst. burst도 원래는 터진다라는 의미가 있는데 outburst는 그게 좀 더 강조됐다라고 생각하면 될 것 같아요.
Right. You could say something like, sorry to burst your bubble.
Oh, yeah,
right?
exactly.
So a bubble will burst, right? Or it pops.
And that's a really fun expression, actually. Well, not fun if you've actually had your bubble burst.
Right.
But
It's like raining on someone's parade.
Yes.
That's another expression, right?
Yeah.
To burst someone's bubble.
burst someone's bubble. 자, 이 표현 같은 경우에는요, 어떤 거냐면은, 예를 들어서, 셰인 선생님이, 나 너무 좋은 일이 있다. 나 이따가 점심 때 굉장히 맛있는, 한 번도 안 가본 식당 거기 가볼 거거든. 와, 너무 신나! 이러면서, 이제, 나름대로, 즐거움의 버블을 하나 만들어 놨어요. 근데 제가 거기다가 이렇게 툭 터트리는 말을 하는 거예요. 거기 별로야? 이런다든지, 아니면은, 뭔가, 난 거기 가봤는데, 이런, 참 밥맛이죠? 이러네요. I'm bursting your bubble.
Yeah.
네, 이렇게 하면 안 좋지만, 이 표현은 재밌어요. bursting someone's bubble.
Yeah. When someone's on a high, you're really dragging them down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
네, 그래서 분위기를 깬다라고 볼 수도 있습니다. 우리말로는. 그거랑 좀 비슷한데. 네,
Yeah, you're being a Debbie Downer in
a
that
Debbie
case.
Downer. 맞아요. 그렇게 하면 안 좋지만 이 표현은 알아둬라. 이렇게 좀 정리를 할 수 있을 것 같고요. 그래서 여기서는 그냥 burst가 아니라 outburst. 뭔가가 분출하고 쏟아져 나오는 것을 말하고 있습니다. 자, 다시 읽어볼게요. A flood warning has been issued for Alaska's capital, Juneau, following an outburst from a glacial lake in the area. Here's our next headline.
A study has suggested that standing desks do not compensate for being inactive, and may even increase the risk of conditions such as swollen veins and blood clots in the legs.
서서 사용할 수 있도록 만들어진 책상인 스탠딩 데스크가 운동 부족의 결점을 상쇄하지 못하며 오히려 하지정맥류와 심부정맥혈전증 같은 문제가 발생할 위험을 높일 수 있다는 연구 결과가 나왔습니다.
Yeah, there was a big trend of standing desks. I remember my office used to have them as well. But what researchers in Australia found were that if you stand for more than 2 hours a day, it actually increases the risk of developing problems like deep vein thrombosis and varicose veins.
In your legs.
In your legs, yeah. What they did was they studied more than 83,000 adults. They did not have any heart disease at the start of the study, and they wore devices on their wrists. And they found that for every additional 30 minutes spent standing beyond 2 hours increased the risk of circulatory diseases by 11%. And that standing actually does not reduce the risk of things like stroke, heart failure, and of the sort. So it runs counter to what people were thinking, that standing up actually is better than sitting down all day with your posture, hunched,
crouched,
crouched over.
Yeah.
So people thought standing up would be better, but then it creates a whole bag of other problems.
Yeah, exactly. Standing desk. 여러분도 혹시 써보셨나요? 쓰고 계시나요? 이게 뭐 장점도 많이 있습니다. 서서 일하면은 이제 앉아서 이게 자세도 안 좋아지고 그러는 것보다는 이게 바느하게 서서 일하면 좋다고 하는데 너무 오랫동안 특히 여기 2시간 얘기를 조금 전에 하셨어요. If you're at a standing desk for more than 2 hours, you're going to have problems in your legs.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, what was it?
Deep vein thrombosis.
Deep vein thrombosis.
Varicose veins.
Okay.
Right.
Difficult words.
하지정맥, right?
Yeah. Exactly. 그래서 그거를 좀 쉬운 말로 하면은 swollen veins and blood clots라고 표현할 수 있습니다.
Right. And a lot of people actually stand for work, for a living. A lot of people in the service industry need to stand. And this is a problem that they know very well. And I'm sure they'll say, standing desks? You try standing all day and see how your feet hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, these standing desks do not compensate for being inactive. Compensate.
Yeah. So when you compensate for something, you're counterbalancing it, you're counteracting or sort of neutralizing or offsetting it. So in this case, they're saying standing up does not compensate for any risk of any health issues. Normally, when you say compensation, you think of pay. And pay is actually you're supplying an equivalent for your services as work. So it's the same meaning there.
Exactly. If, for example, you had a cup of coffee in your hand and I spilt it, then I might say, I'm so sorry. Can I compensate by buying you another cup of coffee?
Can you? You should.
I would like to. I must compensate.
Right.
자, 이렇게 compensate라는 거는요. 뭔가를 보상해주다라는 의미가 있습니다. 여기서 말하는 거는 대체하다 아니면은 상쇄하다 의미로 썼는데 우리가 운동을 하지 않는 대신에 서서 이제 책상을 쓰는 게 원래 목적이었죠. 스탠딩 데스크의 목적이. 그런데 그것을 대체하지 못한다. 상쇄하지 못해요. 이렇게 오랫동안 너무 오래 서 있으면은 오히려 다리에 여러 가지 문제가 생기더라. 그 중에 하나는 blood clots입니다.
Yeah, a blood clot is something that forms when blood coagulates. Right, as a means to heal. And blood, that's a good feature of blood because if you have an injury like a scar, an open wound, you want the blood to sort of coagulate and harden. But it's dangerous when it forms in arteries and veins without an injury, and especially if it happens in your legs, lungs, or even worse, your brain, and that'll cause a stroke or heart attack.
Exactly. blood clot 두 단어고요. blood 뒤에 이제 clot가 붙으면 혈전이 되겠습니다. 피가 응고가 된 상태죠. 근데 응고하다라는 이 동사가 좀 어려운데 coagulate라고 합니다.
Yeah, this is how I.
스펠링을 한번.
Yeah, sure.
네.
coagulate. And when I describe 선지 to people, I always say it's coagulated blood.
again, food.
Yeah. Yes. Didn't mean to do that. But
Yeah, 선지. I like 선지.
I love 선지,
You know,
yeah.
the first time I had 선지, I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was kind of like tofu,
Yeah,
like black
exactly.
tofu. And I thought, oh, it's nice,
Yeah.
interesting texture, like hard tofu. And then someone explained to me what it was.
Yeah.
And they said, it's blood. And I thought, what?
Did you not eat it in the UK? I know
No.
Brits.
Yeah, they'd have
with
black
blood
pudding.
Pudding.
Black pudding.
They call it black pudding.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They do, but I'd never had it. I think it's
Yeah.
a Scottish thing.
Okay.
I'd never had it before. And then in Korea, it was in this soup. I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was. I had it. I liked it.
Yeah.
And then someone told me what it was, and it kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I was shocked. But then I thought, it tastes good.
Yeah.
And it's good for your body.
Sometimes it's better
I'll-
not to know.
Exactly. So 여러분 이제 만약에 외국인에게 선지 해장국을 설명한다 하면은 뭐 안 하는 게 나을 수도 있지만 어쨌든 이제 this is blood that's been coagulated.
Coagulated blood.
Yeah. Is it cow's,
Of a cow, I believe,
cow's
yeah.
blood? Okay. Anyway, if you enjoy it, that's all that matters. Here's the headline again. A study has suggested that standing desks do not compensate for being inactive and may even increase the risk of conditions such as swollen veins and blood clots in the legs. Now here's our final headline.
Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has reportedly fired around 24 employees at its Los Angeles offices for allegedly using their free meal vouchers to purchase household goods instead of food.
네, 페이스북과 인스타그램의 모기업인 메타가 자사가 지급한 식권으로 식사 대신에 생활용품을 구입했다는 이유로 로스앤젤레스에서 근무하는 직원 약 24명을 해고한 것으로 알려졌습니다. I don't quite understand how this could happen. Tell us more.
Sure, let me explain.
Yeah,
So
please.
a lot of these Silicon Valley tech companies, as a benefit to their employees, they offer these extravagant, lavish sort of canteens in their offices. And I visited actually this one company, starting with G, their head offices in California. I had a chance to go to their, their canteen, and it's great. They hire chefs from outside, and you can choose. Their policy is no a beverage within 500 feet of every worker. You know? So
Wow.
they're well fed,
Yep.
they're well drunken. Now these are their head offices, but smaller offices don't necessarily have these benefits with the canteen. So in exchange, for example, I suppose this was a Los Angeles office or branch of Meta, but what they provide is rather a meal voucher. So instead, because they don't have a canteen or they don't offer food at work, they'll give them a free meal voucher. But what these workers were doing, including one unnamed worker on who earns about $400,000, said they use their meal credits to buy other things like household goods such as toothpaste, tea, and of the sort. So one of these people said, anonymously that they when they're not eating at the office. Like if their husband is cooking, for example, they're grabbing dinner with friends, figured, hey, why let these credits go to waste? But they're being abused, and that's a problem, and that was
So you
grounds
can use the food
for release.
coupons to buy other things?
No, that's
Yeah,
the
that's
thing.
right.
That's the whole point.
But
Is that
how
they were
did they manage to do that?
because I think what they do is when you go to a grocery store, you can use these vouchers. They don't sell just food. They sell other items as well.
아, 오케이. 원래는 음식을 사라고 줬던 쿠폰이었는데 그걸로 각종 생필품을 샀군요. 그런 직원이 한 24명 정도가 있었다고 합니다. 그런 이유로 메타에서 해고를 했다. 이런 소식인데요. 자, 이런 음식 쿠폰, 내지는 식권이라고도 할 수 있는데 영어로는 meal voucher.
Voucher. So what I suspect is that maybe they were giving daily cash allowances.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine, I guess.
They back it up with receipts, I'm sure. But
okay.
in any case, a meal voucher. A voucher is a sort of a coupon, right? A form of check indicating a credit against a future purchase or expenditure. You have gift vouchers, you can have travel vouchers or cash vouchers as well. But a meal voucher would be something that's prepaid for something to consume.
우리 가끔 이제 외래어로 우리도 바우처라는 단어를 보셨을지 모르겠어요.
Government vouchers,
네,
too.
그게 바로 이렇게 쓰는 건데요. voucher, voucher. meal voucher니까 식권이 되겠습니다. 자, 그 다음에 household goods.
Yep, a household good is just everyday items used in the home. Clothing, appliances, children's toys, tools, equipment, etc.
생활용품이라고 볼 수 있겠죠. 집에서 쓸 수 있는 물건들이니까 household goods, 생활용품. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has reportedly fired around 24 employees at its Los Angeles offices for allegedly using their free meal vouchers to purchase household goods instead of food. That's it for the headlines today with Shane.